from BBD, Fast and Furious, Deja Vu Times. Remember this t-shirt, people who watched my 1-minute spiels on Instagram? We are back to the future. It's almost where we started at, not exactly. Much worse. Can you imagine the position we are in? 57% of the country is locked down again. Back to weekend curfews is eventually probably going to end up being curfew for the entire country. But this is what I want to read out something that Parkha Dutt has written. I know a lot of people don't like her, because especially the government in power, because they think she's much of a liberal, but she says it's the truth. How India's health system has collapsed. We have collapsed. Maharashtra is sinking and other states will follow. This is worse than World War II, Dr. Parker said. This is in Maharashtra, lashing out with rage. For now on the ground, after tracking cremation grounds and graveyards, meeting doctors and nurses inside COVID-19 intense care units, traveling with ambulance drivers and spending hours at testing centers, I can authenticate the fact that everything, and I mean everything, is running short. So let's tell Dr. Sambit Patra, who he's only on shows, he looks like I don't even know where. And what I found really interesting the other day, Times on, who's a bullhorn for this current government, both those, both the anchors, and they didn't have a place to hide yesterday. No place to hide. Because no matter what they did, they couldn't come out with a positive or nail Pappu. That's their favorite, nail Pappu, but they couldn't nail Pappu. They had to nail the government. It's strange times. The most critical shortfall is that of oxygen, folks. Oxygen. Do you understand that? Oxygen is in short supply for a country that wants to sit on the high table at the United Nations. For God's sake. Right? What do we have here? Dr. Sarup Hegde, with what this means, with not enough oxygen, we have to change our line of treatment. This will definitely mean we will see many more deaths. The main difference between 2020 and 2021, doctors I meet on the ground in Maharashtra say, is that younger Indians are being infected, among them children as young as 5 and 3 years. First, there was no space in hospitals. Now there is no space at the Shamshan Ghat. Where should we go? As Hemant Deshmukh, Dean at Mumbai's KM Hospital, told me, right now we are discussing shortage of beds and drugs and vaccine. What if we run short of doctors, folks? And that is going to happen in states ruled by the BJP for sure. Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Gujarat. Gujarat is in shambles. They're just trying to hide information here, hide information there. But guess what? What do we have a buffer stock of, folks? Because we need to just cut down trees. No investment, no money. Buffer stock of wood at Ghats as heads go. Can you see this news? It's so hilarious. We have a buffer stock of wood. What about the vaccines? What about the oxygen? No, but we've got a surplus of wood. Interesting. Where are we going from here? 1,340 India records its most COVID deaths in a single day. And PM reviews oxygen status. But I would think he would be reviewing something far greater than oxygen status. And what is it? Production to be increased. Production to be increased for oxygen. Does that have to be told by a PM? That just shows us how centralized and dysfunctional this government has become. If the PM has to worry about now, amongst other things, oxygen. Right. Now, what is this? GOI's vaccine dadagiri must stop. This is something that Pooja Tripathi has written. It's a very interesting read, right? On Tuesday, Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan stated that on the vaccination front, the problem is not of vaccine shortage, but of a lack of better planning. The situation on the ground, however, speaks a different story. At least 6 states, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Haryana, Maharashtra, Odisha and Telangana, have apprised GOI about vaccine shortage. Work controlled by the central government is restrictive and the inoculations are below capacity because not enough doses are available. Okay. When GOI was ready for the vaccination rollout, the center took total control. Decisions were often announced without adequate consultation with the states, including the one to decide the eligibility criteria of vaccine takers. India's federal structure demanded that there was proper planning and coordination over the production and distribution of vaccines, stricter enforcement of COVID-appropriate public behavior, and a ban on mass gatherings. It is grimly ironic that India, a global vaccine manufacturing hub, should even be facing a dose shortage versus bad planning debate. This, folks, for all the andhbhakts, is something that you need to really understand, folks. The lack of government support and funding to manufacture was a disaster in the making. This is it, right? Hear this. This is what nails the government. Compare it with the US government, which placed an order worth $2 billion with Pfizer for 100 million doses of its vaccine, even before knowing whether the vaccine was going to work or not. Then going on to sign deals with Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, Novavax and AstraZeneca for more than 500 million vaccine doses. The US vaccine strategy was bidirectional, pumping in money to fund research and acting as first buyer of vaccines. Other countries followed suit. Britain, Canada and EU procured bulk contracts from companies at competitive rates. Consequently, there was no dearth of supply. They understood the gravity of the situation while respecting free marketing sentiments and infusing funds. This is where we miss the trick. Atmanirbhar, folks, is not about the government helping. It's about you helping yourself and helping the government. That's the funny part. Or not the government, the BJP at this point of time, right? Government of India, on the other hand, treated private companies with a mixture of disdain and ownership, placed restrictive criteria on vaccine eligibility, and exported vaccines without taking stock on the domestic front. At the same time, political rallies and religious congregations must be stopped, as we can't afford to reverse the gains we have achieved because of these potential super spreaders who show no sign of maintaining any COVID protocol. And as we continue, the news just keeps getting worse and worse, folks. Calls, and I'm glad some foreign policy impact. Calls for Johnson to cancel his visit as infectious India variant found in UK. And here's where we're going to get problematic with third dose likely needed within 1 year. Pfizer CEO, we haven't even got the second dose and we're talking about third. And here another point of it. India goes gung-ho, oh, we got the largest number of vaccines. But remember, folks, we are only 7.2% of our population. That's the statistic that counts. And Israel, 97%. If we had micromanaged it and let it go down to the states, we probably would have had a far better result than what we've done now, right? To ramp up wax output, government pumps in funds. Kinda late. Those pumped in funds, let me tell you, folks, the new people, they're ramping up 2022, nothing before that. Government aid to double co-vaccine production. Oh, for God's sake, now. Government charts plans to raise co-vaccine capacity tenfold. Oh, doesn't your heart break, folks? Isn't it a year too late? We knew about it much earlier, right? Shortage of vaccines, raw material, SIA to Biden, and export embargo. Now, here again, Serum Institute should have gone and, since it was producing vaccines, it should have stockpiled all the stuff that it needs from the United States. Maharashtra civic body hid 243 COVID deaths, BJP neta. Give real picture of COVID situation. High Court tells Gujarat. So basically, tu meh. Subterfuge, obfuscation. This government, wherever it is, it's hiding facts and figures. It always has done. Right? And it's like one man know all, whether it was a GST, whether it was demonetization, and now this, folks. At least we know who to blame it, right? COVID surge pushes health civic infra to breaking point. Infra overruns scramble for ventilators, oxygen, ICU beds. Well, I'm glad some of the heavy hitters are getting hurt too. Javadkar amongst many leaders to test COVID positive. What do we have here? Patients run from pillar to post as city hospitals packed to the rafters. Funeral homes struggling to keep up with rising deaths. And this is a picture worth noting, folks. See that? Ghaziabad, Ahmedabad, Lucknow. Guess who rules those states? Funny, isn't it? There's no science here, folks. Only religion. But religion ain't helping. But this is 57% of India under curbs as deaths soar on Black Friday. Not at Kumbh make COVID dip. Akhada's exit from Kumbh shows courage of faith. And one guy has shown faith. But you have a back from Kumbh, Sadhu dies of COVID, Kumbh duration, sects spar over government stays out. So sects are actually sparring. I'm not going to go, I'm going to go. Religion's going to hurt me. Folks, cheers and good luck. Wear your mask, folks. The government ain't helping us. You gotta help yourself.